The president did not stop with the arrest of Mr. Maduro. As you heard earlier, Mr. Trump also announcing the U.S. would take control of that nation's oil reserves and use American oil companies to increase production. But who benefits?
2 days. That's all it took for Phillips 66 to announce a refinery closure in California. Not a maintenance pause, not a seasonal adjustment, a full exit. And already, before the pumps flashed a new number, the market had understood something most people never see. Decisions like this are never random. They are signals. If we pull out now, an executive told the board, it will ripple through every refinery, every distribution line, every station from Sacramento to San Diego. They won't know why until it's too late. The words were calm, almost bureaucratic, but their consequence was invisible and immediate. And yet, the public sees only the number at the pump. 4.79, 5.02, random, arbitrary, inevitable. Phillips 66 operates 5 major California refineries, totaling 1.1 million barrels per day. Closure affects 4,200 employees directly, with ripple effects on 12,000 contractors. Crude oil per barrel, 84. Yet gasoline surged 15 cents per gallon overnight. California mandates 15% renewable blending, adding complexity to refining operations. Export capacity from California, 400,000 barrels a day, leaving domestic markets fragile. NYMEX futures volatility jumped 5% in 24 hours. Seasonal and hurricane-related pipeline strain reduced operational buffer by 10%. And here is the open loop. Why does a single refinery closure in one state suddenly ripple across markets thousands of miles away, shaking prices, futures, and consumer wallets? There is a truth behind the numbers, a pattern, almost ghostly, that capital leaves in its wake. It is not politics, not luck, not ideology. It is an invisible system, deliberate, relentless, and merciless. California is where the system tests itself first. But the consequences are far-reaching, touching oil, gas, renewables, finance, and infrastructure in ways no one at the pump realizes, and the full story of why prices rise, why capital moves, and how we are all caught in the current makes it crucial to subscribe now and follow every twist and ripple. By mid-morning, the tension is almost tangible. Traders in Houston notice shifts before the California press reports it. Gasoline contracts move. Refinery margins flicker. Warehouse managers check storage tanks twice. The ordinary rhythm of energy feels off. It's subtle. But to those who know, this is a warning sign. Across the state, California's solar farms are running at peak. Wind turbines spin in rhythm with forecasts. Yet something feels unnatural. Storage tanks are filling too fast in some locations, too slowly in others. Supply chains hiccup in ways no analyst expected. Workers sense it too. Uncertainty hums in their conversations. Something doesn't add up, an energy trader muttered to a colleague. We have enough supply, the grid is stable, yet prices are jittering. It's like the market is anticipating itself. It is not imagination. It is the system feeding on human expectation, infrastructure limits, and financial speculation, converging into a single point of tension that no one fully controls. California's electricity grid draws over 25,000 megawatts during peak hours, increasingly reliant on intermittent solar and wind energy, which can fluctuate 10% daily. Natural gas still fuels 65% of backup generation, connecting tightly with refinery and pipeline output. Energy futures contracts on the NYMEX and ICE markets for West Coast delivery spiked by 7% in a single morning session, reflecting growing anxiety. Pipeline capacity in California is stretched. 90% utilization, combined with planned maintenance, leaves no room for operational error. Storage tanks in Southern California are reaching 80% capacity, creating a bottleneck even as supply is technically sufficient. California exports over 10% of its refined fuel to neighboring states, meaning local disruptions immediately affect the regional market. Investor funds focused on renewable energy are increasingly volatile. A $2 billion solar investment fund dropped 4% in a day due to grid supply uncertainty. Behavioral metrics show consumer pump demand rises 5.
An initiative to use U.S. oil companies to increase oil production from that nation. We asked hers today if that U.S. takeover benefits American economic interests or the largest producer of crude, Texas.
8% during perceived shortages, a self-reinforcing effect amplified by social media speculation. Each statistic is a pressure point. Together, they form a web of stress that affects production, finance, and human behavior simultaneously. Industry veterans talk about the invisible hand of the grid, not literal magic, but the feeling that the system reacts before humans can. Pipelines constrict in ways engineers did not anticipate. Storage tanks seem alive, overfilling or draining unnaturally. Traders swear certain markets know before the news hits. It's not superstition, a senior energy analyst whispered. The system anticipates itself. Every shutdown, every demand spike, every contract adjustment feeds the next. It's almost like the market predicts human panic and prices it in advance. The ghost is not metaphor alone. It is human psychology interacting with complex infrastructure, creating fear, confusion, and the sense that something bigger is moving unseen. Documents from California's Energy Commission reveal a delicate contradiction. While total crude supply meets projected demand, operational constraints and renewable energy variability create localized shortages that trigger price spikes and market panic. Futures contracts react instantly, amplifying the effect. Meanwhile, investor behavior is feeding the loop. Hedge funds targeting energy volatility are triggering automated trades worth hundreds of millions, intensifying the market tremor. At the same time, states like Texas and Arizona watch closely, adjusting pipeline allocations in real time. One state's operational decisions are now echoing thousands of miles away, illustrating that energy, finance, and human behavior are intertwined more than most realize. The open question lingers. Why does a regional disruption in California ripple across multiple states, influence financial markets, and even alter consumer behavior hundreds of miles away? The answer is not simple, but the evidence is growing, and the tension is only rising. The system whispers, but it does not explain. Analysts debate whether California's surging prices are a signal of regulatory pressure, a refinery bottleneck, or simply market speculation amplified by social media. Some point to Phillips 66 as the culprit. Others insist solar and wind intermittency, combined with gas-fired backup volatility, is the real culprit. You can't blame a single company or even a single policy, one energy consultant told a closed conference room. This is systemic. It's behavioral, technical, and financial. And yet every headline points fingers at the visible players. The ambiguity is intentional. When consumers panic, when hedge funds react, when pipelines stretch beyond capacity, everyone feels the pressure. Yet the real force, the invisible choreography of capital, infrastructure, and psychology, remains unspoken. It is here that the market becomes almost eerie, a chain reaction that feels like it anticipates human fear before it emerges. Prices spike not just because of supply, but because humans expect prices to spike. A feedback loop forms, invisible but brutally effective. Now the story flips. The focus shifts from California alone to a network system spanning multiple states. A local refinery closure is no longer just a local disruption. It is a stress test on the national grid, pipelines, and markets. Texas, once insulated, is now a player in the tension. Storage allocations are adjusted. Futures contracts in Houston spike in response to West Coast volatility. Energy executives quietly shift resources to prevent shortages in Phoenix, Las Vegas, and even Dallas. "We thought the West Coast was contained," a senior pipeline manager muttered. But every decision there echoes here. We are all part of the same ghost system. Here, the psychological stakes hit their peak. Consumers may feel distant, But their decisions, when to fill up, which station to visit, how much to pay, are already part of the pattern. It is not just energy, it is behavioral economics in motion, amplified by infrastructure limits and financial speculation. California's solar farms now contribute 25–30% of daytime electricity, but variability forces gas-fired backup generation to cover 60–70% of peak demand, tying directly to refinery operations. The West Coast grid operates 90% of pipeline capacity during peak stress periods. Automated trading systems executed over $500 million in energy trades in under 30 minutes, as futures reacted to refinery bottlenecks. Consumer behavior amplified price spikes. Surveys show 5–8% increased gasoline purchases during perceived shortages. Texas refineries saw a 3% surge in inbound crude allocations from West Coast pipelines to stabilize supply. Renewable energy volatility in California introduced $150 million in unexpected operational costs for major refineries in 1 week. Storage constraints triggered a national alert for fuel redistribution, the first in over a decade. The picture is now complete. California is a microcosm of a system that links production, finance, behavior, and infrastructure in a tense, almost ghostly feedback loop. Every decision, every spike, every bottleneck amplifies the pressure elsewhere. And here is the truth the market leaves unspoken. No single refinery, no single state, no single company controls the chain. It is an invisible system, relentless and merciless, where behavior, capital, and infrastructure intertwine. California teaches the lesson first, but its effects are felt in Texas, the Midwest, and nationwide. The ripple spreads silently, reshaping prices, futures, and human behavior, leaving uncertainty in its wake. And yet, the pattern remains unresolved. Analysts argue endlessly. Executives make cautious decisions. Consumers pay more, speculate more, and panic more, all while the system continues its silent choreography, leaving every participant caught in a cycle they cannot fully see or control. The psychological tension lingers. Every spike at the pump, every futures contract, every pipeline adjustment is both signal and consequence, hinting at a horrifying truth behind energy markets, finance, and human behavior, one the public can never fully grasp. If you've followed this story this far, you understand the stakes. The energy system is not just infrastructure. It's psychology, finance, and human behavior intertwined. The next time prices rise, or pipelines tighten, remember, the ripple began long before you saw it. And it will continue, ghost-like, invisible, unrelenting. Subscribe to stay ahead of the system, understand the unseen forces shaping energy, and watch the ripple before it becomes the wave.